We are very excited about a special concert coming up on Saturday afternoon, February 9th. It's a program that we're doing in collaboration with our friends at the Library of Congress. They are commemorating the Civil War with a program called The Civil War in America. And as a part of that, they have invited us to do a concert at Coolidge Auditorium, and they've titled the program Music in the Lincoln White House, Francis M. Scala and the President's Own. Now, this program will actually include a panel discussion talking about Francis Maria Scala, the Marine Band's director from 1855 to 1871, and the music that was performed by the Marine Band in the White House during the Lincoln administration. The panel discussion beginning at 1 p.m. will include Christian McWhirter from the National Archives, Dr. Elise Kirk, musicologist and author of the book Music at the White House, Laura Shizzle from the Music Division at the Library of Congress, and myself. Colonel Colburn has prepared a very interesting program for this special concert, and he's given it a title. And the title is, Will the Leader of the Marine Band Please See Mrs. Lincoln Today? Now, that probably seems like a slightly strange title for a band concert, but it's explained thoroughly when you look at a document that's a part of the Scala collection. The document is a handwritten note written by President Lincoln, written to Francis Scala, and it's asking Scala to go to the White House and meet with Mrs. Lincoln to discuss an upcoming event. Now, that event was something that had not been done at the White House. This was something new that President and Mrs. Lincoln wanted to try. It was an evening ball being held at the White House. Prior to this, there were almost regular receptions at the White House. Anyone could attend a reception. You could just walk up to the door and walk in and be a part of the evening event. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum would be a White House state dinner, where there was a small list of invited guests. But Mrs. Lincoln wanted to try a ball, and because it was new, and because she wanted to make sure that every detail was taken care of, she wanted to speak directly with Francis Scala to make sure that the music would be appropriate for that time. And that's really kind of typical of the kind of relationship that the Marine Band had with President and Mrs. Lincoln. The concert will feature some very interesting music, some patriotic and popular music from the Civil War era. There'll be a march which Francis Scala wrote and dedicated to President Lincoln, and a polka which Scala wrote for Mrs. Lincoln. The concert will be narrated by Dr. Alan Galzo, who is the Henry R. Luce Professor of the Civil War era and Professor of History at Gettysburg College in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The concert will also include a number of transcriptions of music from popular operas of the day. Scala was a native Italian, was trained in music in Italy, and obviously loved music from the Italian Opera House. And so that was a very important part of the Marine Band's repertoire during his tenure as our director. Francis Maria Scala was one of the most important directors of the Marine Band. I often think that if John Philip Sousa hadn't been our director after Scala had served, then Scala would be a much more familiar name to musicologists and to people familiar with American musical history. Scala really modernized the band in many ways. He increased the size of the band. He increased the instrumentation, brought in a lot of new and modern instruments that we're just very familiar with now, such as trumpets and trombones and baritone horns and bass instruments. And he really changed the repertoire of the band, developed it and refined the repertoire of the band to include a lot of classical music that was played alongside the popular music of the day. So when you look at the total contribution that Scala made, he definitely made tremendous changes, improvements to the Marine Band, and certainly stands out as one of our most important former directors. We are really looking forward to recreating the era and actually getting to listen to the music which President Lincoln listened to and enjoyed during the Civil War.